There we go. It is your Potty Mouths Podcast, emergency podcast. The Mets advance. The Mets will take on the Phillies. NLDS. They defeat the Brewers in 3 games after some heroics in the 9th inning. First time it's ever been done. First time ever that a player has hit a home run while trailing in the 9th. That also was the game-winning home run. So let's talk about last night a little bit. We did some predictions in yesterday's episode. We said Pete needed to show up, didn't we, Vin?
Yeah, it was pretty black and white. The Mets weren't going to be successful without him, especially in a elimination game like this. You also had mentioned that Lindor needed a couple hits. Lindor got a couple hits. He was the only one with a couple hits going into the late innings. The Mets looked anemic at the plate, like they kind of have in recent games in certain areas. It's just what I said it yesterday. You can't go in the to the 9th inning not being no hit, but 2 hits doesn't help either. So everybody was on Alonso for not being the guy that he thinks he deserves to be paid. And last night, if anything, he showed everybody that was absolutely destroying him in the last couple of weeks that he put the team on his back. And for last night, this was probably the greatest home run of his career, and definitely one of the most memorable that the Mets have had since Monday. So
yeah, this is one of the best weeks in Mets history.
Yeah, definitely.
We did say that it's got to be more than some Vientos, Winker, Nimmo heroics. You need your big money players to be big money players in October, and that the Yankees have how many rings because their frontline guys and their starters like Jeter, they performed, and Pettit had 19 wins in the playoffs career, and Wells had a ton of wins. Those guys perform. That's what you need in the playoffs. You could say that, even though he doesn't have a ton of wins, but like Kershaw historically struggled against St. Louis. And how many World Series realistically on paper should the Dodgers have with that core they had? Now the core is different now, but so Mets get the great win. They showed video from Citi Field. The fans were going crazy. I saw videos. I don't know what bar it is. I'm assuming it's wherever the 7-Line Army was. So a video
somewhere
of
in Manhattan.
That. Was
Free
it
beer.
the city?
Free beer.
Oh, really? What was that?
Why did we know?
What was the cover? I don't know. I don't follow the 7-Line Army.
I don't either, but I saw them posting up and going nuts at the place last night when they hit the home run.
That's what I saw. Yeah.
But no, it was definitely some little spot in Manhattan there.
All right, Big Apple. So speaking of fruits and veggies, I have a picture of this. Pete Alonso was carrying around a little
pumpkin.
In the in the locker room during the celebration. Apparently, him and his wife, the day of yesterday, went to some farm 20 minutes outside of Milwaukee, and he picked the pumpkin, and he said nothing's more fall than playoff baseball and pumpkin. So he has his playoff pumpkin.
Yeah.
And he decided to hold it on because he's an awkward one. Hate him or love him.
You just took the words out of my mouth. I don't know what to make of him. Like, he's such a dork in so many ways. Right? I mean, he really is. I'm sure he's an amazing guy and good dude, guy you want to hang out with. By the way, no cover charge, free beer, and it's Saturday and Sunday again this weekend.
Oh boy.
I don't know. I mean, I'm glad he spends time with his wife. I'm glad they went to the farm that day to pick pumpkins. I guess that was important. I'm happy he brings it. Yeah, no, it works. It was a good situation. I got a couple questions again. Back to how many pitches did Quintana throw before they took him out?
I believe it was 91. I will look.
Thought,
he was definitely at 90.
I thought the two mistakes were I was shocked that Milwaukee took that kid out, Myers, last night. He pitched great. I thought that they would have let him go till the wheels fell off last night. Really.
I think they interviewed. Did they interview Murphy in between innings? They said that, or maybe it was Chris Singleton said the stats are not good third round through.
Yeah, that's what they were talking about. Batting averages kind of increases third time through, and so I mean that's for everybody though. He's not the only one, but he had the Mets at bay. Like it wasn't like there were guys on base every inning. It wasn't even close. And Quintana pitched lights out. Everything you could ask for.
I said I don't know. I threw a random 6 in the third out yesterday in our preview. That's what you needed.
And that's what he did.
And that's what he gave you.
Yeah. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. After the 7th inning, I shut the TV off and I sat in the dark.
That's deep.
I sat in the dark.
You got your Aaron Rodgers on?
I was just reflecting on the whole season. I was just thinking about what a run it's been since, they turned it around, and I just saw a stat before. I don't the exact numbers, but after the London series against the Phillies is kind of when they really took off. I think the Phillies were like 50-47 in the last 97, and the Mets had their record. That was a lot better than that. But I said to myself, I got to turn the 9th inning on. Let me turn it on just to see if they lose. I want to see them walk off the field. I want to see the season, unfold, end. So I did. I turned it back on. Lindor gets the hit. He walks on. Then Nimmo gets the base hit. And then the rest is history after that. So I didn't even know Diaz threw the inning and whatever 2/3 that he threw because I saw Peterson in the bullpen. I'm like, well, what's going on here? Like, what is Diaz not alive?
Essentially, it's a game 7. So
all hands on deck, and it's it was a good win. It was a fun series. Not as far as being a fan per se, but obviously the win is a win. But I really thought I said this yesterday. I thought the Montas game. I thought they would have beat him up more than they did, and not have to get to last night. But Winker was important in that last go round too. There, the Marte hit to add the extra run on. So it's nice to see them coming back home for another series, and hopefully they can continue this run. It's been really stressful, to be honest with you, and we don't play, but it's been fun, and it's been fun because there was no expectations from me. I'm telling you dead on, there was no expectations from me. After the 101 win season, there was expectations the year after to come back and do it again, and that didn't happen. And thank you for the thumbs up. That was really nice.
No, I didn't do that. That's why I made the face. I don't know what that is.
But so this is house money, and JD Martinez was talking last night. There's no pressure on them, and all the pressure's on everybody else who's going to play against them. So that's a huge advantage, and everybody wrote them off a million times. I wrote them off in May. So here we are.
I didn't see JD say that. I saw like every other interview. I'm gonna backtrack a little bit, and then I'll get to where I'm going with the JD Martinez quote. So Quintana, 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 walk, 5 Ks, 94 pitches.
Okay.
And then back to, you said you sat in the dark. After they 2007 and 2008 when they blew it late. I don't get like that anymore because that killed me. I had to jump on a plane back to Baton Rouge, back to New Orleans. My mom got us tickets for the last game at Shea.
I was there.
Yeah, and they celebrated with Tom Seaver and Piazza closing Shea and walking towards City, which was pretty much done.
Right.
And they had just blown their chance to win in the playoffs. So it was like
against the Marlins.
Yeah, like 2 years in a row. And it was such a such a kick in the nuts. And then the one that really got me was the Wainwright knee buckle of Beltron, where I literally turned the TV off, dropped the remote, and it was only like 9 p.m. and I went to bed. And you know me, I don't go to bed.
No.
Before midnight.
No, that was a tough.
That stuff killed me. So, what I was doing while you were sitting in the dark, I was trying my best Photoshop attempt to put Juan Soto's head on Obi-Wan Kenobi with R2-D2 playing the Princess Leia video, and I was going to post that to our social. Help us, Obi-Wan Soto. But you know what? Lindor got on while I was doing that, and Nimmo got the single. And I was like, let me stop this. Let me watch this. And I wasn't even thinking like this could be Pete's last at bat. I don't dislike Pete. I don't dislike any Met on the team. I don't love McNeil. I'll say it. McNeil's the only guy I would love to move on from. For sure. Team. I don't want the Alonso contract to get in the way of bigger fish. If he's back, he's back. But I have no problem sliding Vientos in and putting Mauricio at third. If we can get bigger names. But anyway, with that said, I wasn't even thinking like, oh, this could be Alonso's last at bat. I want to watch it. Normally I would do that. But this time I was just like, oh, it's interesting.
Yeah, I get it.
And once he hit it and once he screamed like Tarzan, I was like,
didn't trip over the bat.
I was like, oh shit, he knows it's gone. And then when they cut to the outfield camera, I was like, oh shit, this better be gone. It did clear the fence, thankfully.
5 feet to the left, it doesn't go over.
Right, yeah. So, but he knew. Thankfully, he knew. So that helped me. See, I'm not one of those fans, and no disrespect to if this is you. Maybe you're new to the game, or you're just excitable, or you're young. Like, especially when you're at the stadium, someone hits a pop fly and people scream.
Oh yeah, that's my
and
dad.
it's like 100 feet away from the wall. But I've always had a well-trained eye with that stuff. But so that's what I was doing. I was ready to pray to the baseball gods for Juan Soto, assuming the season was over. But then, thankfully, the Mets saved that from happening. And then all right, I'll get to the JD Martinez quote. I don't agree with that. I think there is pressure on Lindor to keep this going, and I think there's now pressure on, maybe less so, but I think there's pressure on Pete to perform. And you know what, JD? You're the vet. You're a leader. There should be pressure. You should feel pressure. Don't press, but you should feel pressure. You should want to. You were benched. You were benched last night because you're struggling. So I'd like to think in an honest moment he's in front of the mirror saying, I just lied to the world, but I got to get going. I want to help this team. So I do disagree with JD Martinez there, but whatever. But like you said, it's been tough. It's been stressful. I have a video to see where we've come from. I'm going to play this video for everyone. And this is how the season started. So bear with me, Vin.
Nobody in the ballpark. 0-5. Hitless through seven. Feels like rock bottom.
Yeah. And that's when that's what, end of April, beginning of May?
We were 0-5, so the beginning of the season, yeah.
So, I mean, what did everybody, for a fan that watches all the games or that's so involved with the team for so many years now, when you see that or hear that or watch the games and you're watching them struggle, your initial thoughts are, it's going to be a long season. When does football start, right? That's usually the question. When does camp open? When does college ball start?
Yeah, for you, not for a Jet fan, but go on.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the expectation part of things, right? This is at the same time, a couple of weeks before that, the management came out and said, we'll be competitive. We're not going to be the worst team in the league. We'll be competitive. But basically saying, don't expect us to be in front of the Phillies and the Braves. Don't expect anything, obviously things have changed and anything can happen. But no, that was, there's a lot of times this year that I felt like that, not just the 0-5. There was other games that I'm like, how are we in August and we're getting no hit in the ninth? or
like times.
Yeah, and we're talking, not to any Cy Youngs out there. We're talking about guys that are just, or going to certain and being on a little bit of a run and going into certain places with series that you have to win and you don't. I'm like, I don't know. This team is smoke and mirrors at this point. Like, I didn't truly wasn't on board with them being like a contender or in this situation right now. So I'll be first person to tell you that, because as most of my friends that know me say, you're an honest Met fan and you're not a dreamer and and so on. And it's just from being in this situation 100 times over.
Yeah, I get the word negative thrown at me by my friend.
No, it's not negative. It's realistic. Is what it is.
That's what I say. And honestly, I didn't think they'd be in the playoffs until the Riley injury.
Yeah.
And then I was like, all right, that's another guy down for them. I told my friends, stop looking at Arizona and San Diego. You got to beat the Braves. I was ultimately wrong because Arizona, can't even say they fell off. They had the same record as the Mets and Braves. But I was wrong in that sense. But San Diego got hot, and I was not looking at them. I was looking at that series with Atlanta as the ultimate like eliminator. To touch on what you were saying throughout the year, I got on Lindor. I don't love his contract. I'll never like his contract. He's making like Trout money, and he's not Trout. But he is there.
In the playoffs more than Trout.
Yeah, it's fine. But so is Rendon. Yeah, I got Nimmo was terrible early, and Pete was somehow an all-star when it probably should have been Reed Garrett only. And then they started showing signs, and they've had some miraculous wins and moments. And I can't say Mendoza's great.
Surprised and shocked me more than anything.
Mendoza's great, and what's his name? What's his name's got to be high thought of around the league.
Chavez.
No. The pitching coach, like a pitching
Hefner.
coach. Yes, because they kept him on. Stearns kept him on.
Yeah.
And he's done wonders with Peterson and and those guys all showed up.
Look, those guys are all threes. Let's put the cards on the table right now.
Is Senga an ace?
No, definitely not paid like an ace. He's like a 2 or 3.
Would you feel confident if you had to throw? I'll just because I know he's in the news lately because he's free agent now. Like Senga versus Burns, take the lineups out of it. Would you feel confident throwing Senga up against like a Burns or, give me another or like a Skubal?
Is the game at home?
The game's on Mars. The game's on Mars, and Martians are batting.
Yeah, I'm confident with him, but I mean, you're talking a 1 versus 3 there, and in a realistic world, like.
So you think Senga's? I'll give Senga a 2. I'll give Senga an above average 2.
But the guys that we have right now, they're all 3s.
On a stacked team, on a contender, on a
DeGrom,
on a team that could push the Phillies aside, 1,000%. These guys are 3s. 1,000%.
Like we're talking, like let's go back to the last playoff run against when they in 15 with that staff. None of these guys will probably be even on the staff. Correct.
You're putting the 2015 staff against this staff?
Not the staff, just certain guys. I mean, like Quintana, Minaya, and Severino. Severino will probably be your 5.
Yeah,
right.
You probably put Severino. You probably put Severino at the time above Matt.
Yeah.
But
there you go.
But Jake, Harvey, Thor were,
which is wild to me that we're talking. Yeah, no, they were, and now here we are with, in this situation right now with a bunch of. So, anyways, back to your situation. Yeah, I'd feel confident with Senga, but I mean, Skubal's on another planet. I think right now. I think he's going to be there for a long time.
Yeah, put him on Mars. Nah, I'm just
kidding. You did. You did. I got a stat. I want to throw something at you though for a second that I read this morning. Every team that eliminated the Brewers in the postseason has gone on to make the World Series.
Huh.
6 of the 9 won the World Series.
It's a nice little tidbit. All right, put that in your pipe. All right, so let's get into it. Let's get into that. I just want to throw out one more Pete pickup for the people.
Yeah. Put the pumpkin or no?
You'll watch this video. You'll see this picture I put up of Pete. You can't give this guy $200 million. I won't spoil it for you. Just watch this on YouTube later, and you'll see Pete. All right, but let's get into it. We mentioned the Phillies. We mentioned the World Series, and now we know the Mets have to go through Philly, the best team in the NL East. They have to go through Philly.
Yeah.
To make the NLCS, which would be the Padres or Dodgers.
I like this better than other options, but yes.
Yeah, Philly's loaded. I'm not gonna lie. Philly scares me. They have bats. They have all-star bats. I believe the whole infield, three-fourths of the infield were all-stars. They have pitchers with fantastic numbers. I know Nola struggled late, but Wheeler is arguably the best pitcher in the National League, which sucks to say because he was a Met. But that's what happens when you hire an agent to be your GM.
That's I think the guy's a clown. Mickey Callaway and those guys are a bunch of clowns. That's like the forgotten era.
Yeah, rightfully so. But yeah, we're looking at Schwarber, we're looking at Turner, we're looking at Harper, we're looking at Wheeler, Nola. You can mock Sanchez and Ranger Suarez. Look at their numbers. They're impressive. They have a good bullpen. Vin and I, before we started the stream, before we started recording, we were talking about the head-to-head numbers. So it was 7 wins for Philly, 6 wins for the Mets. It was pretty even otherwise. I believe the Phillies bullpen ERA, I believe, was almost a run better than the Mets.
Really? That's a lot.
I believe it was almost a run better.
Wow.
SNY showed up the graphic. I was trying to find it. I could not find it.
I couldn't find it either.
So I'll go first because I'll get my stupid prediction out of the way, even though I said it before. I did predict in our prediction segment that the Phillies would win this series. Still gonna go with that thought, but here's the thing: the Phillies have been sitting.
We don't like sitting.
No,
I mean we love sitting now.
Phillies have been sitting. I think the Mets get game 1 just because of momentum. And I think whoever wins game 2 wins this series.
Okay.
The Mets have not announced any of their starters yet because maybe Senga is their ace in the hole. No pun intended. He's their ghost. No pun intended. I'm hearing it's going to be McGill versus Wheeler, and I'm hearing that Peterson might be ready to jump in early to replace McGill.
What do you feel, like 6 pitches?
I'm hearing game 2 is Sanchez versus Severino. So I'm going to say the Phillies win in 5. But whoever wins game 2, just because I think the Mets might get them a little rusty. I think the Mets do win game 1. But I think whoever wins game 2 wins this series in the best of 5. I'll leave it at that. You pick the Mets to beat the Phillies. Let me hear why. Let me hear if you change your mind. Tell me what's going on under that hat.
I mean, we said the season series was Phillies 7, Mets 6, correct?
Yes.
I don't really count the London series if you want to, because obviously it wasn't, either home field advantage for anybody. I think that's what they played 3 or would they play 2 there?
Just 2.
Would they split?
And the Mets had the great win late with Torrens, right? The Torrens double play.
Yeah. So, I mean, from what I remember, I think the Mets handle their staff pretty good. I don't think there's a dominant performance that they've had against them this season
their numbers are pretty good against Nola this year. and
Sanchez.
They did survive a Wheeler gem late in the season.
Suarez.
The Mets were obviously playing playoff baseball for like a month. And the last thing I'll say, and then I'll let you go.
Yeah.
I did see on Twitter, I don't know if this is true, I have to look into it. Of the 6 losses the Phillies have against the Mets, apparently Taijuan Walker pitched in 3 of those. I don't know if that's true.
He definitely pitched relief in one of them because he absolutely got lit up.
Okay.
He was a gas can. He came in middle relief and got torched.
Okay. All right. So with that said, I'll shut up and I'll let you do your thing.
No, I picked the Mets to win the series. I don't think that this is a series that the Phillies are the best team in the bracket, and is what I said when this whole thing started. Both sides. But I'm against the whole sitting down for a week now. So like you said, maybe game 1 the Mets take it in Philly. That's a big win if that's the case. I'm gonna take the Mets in 5, and it's gonna be one of those NL East battles. It's gonna be who can keep Schwarber in the ballpark. That's gonna be a big to do on the list of many of things that they have to accomplish. Look, the narrative's the same, the story's the same. In my opinion, obviously. And by the way, I think that's the game. The Taijuan Walker came in, and I think Cody Clemens finished that game. I think that's when Alonso hit that home run. They have to hit regardless. I mean, you can't go into this series now being like, okay, well, we're gonna have 2 hits, and hopefully somebody comes up and hits a 3-run homer. I mean, it's just you can't. It's not gonna work. The pitching's been lights out for the most part. I mean, you really can't say, aside from the Budo disaster last night, which was really not a disaster. It was 2 home. I mean, it was 2 runs, thank God. But their starters have been kept it. Everybody, what was it last night? 4-2. The night before was 5-3. So, pitching has been good. They just got to continue to pitch well, not get into the bullpen so early, obviously. But you need all these guys to hit now, okay? And there's really going to be no. I mean, this is where obviously the Brewers series was important. I said they'd win that series, but we can't rely on late inning heroics. And I said it yesterday. You can't get no hit into the 9th and then hit the home run, and then everything's going to be peaches and cream here. It's just going to be a battle. I like the Mets against guys like Wheeler that they know. Nola against them this year wasn't that good against them, but I don't think he was that great the whole year, if I'm not mistaken, really. Like, not Nolan, like he's been in the past. He's been pretty damn good for them. And I think that the Ranger guy, Ranger Suarez, I remember, I know he had a really good year this year, and I'm not knocking him, but the Mets handle him usually too. So I like them playing against the Phillies more than I like anybody else right now. I don't like playing San Diego, and I don't like playing the Dodgers. So if the Mets have a chance to move on, this is their best chance. And Mets in 5, it's going to be a bloodbath. And we need the guys, like Vientos should be batting second, number 1. I don't understand that at all, because he's an all or nothing kind of guy, and he is better when he's lower in the lineup. I think Iglesias should be hitting the 2 spot right behind Lindor. Those guys get on base. It gives 3, 4, and 5 a better opportunity, with Vientos being in that 3, 4, or 5. Puts more pressure on on the pitching staff when those guys are on base, and they get on base mostly. So I think they have to tweak that a little bit with certain things. I think you'll see JD back in the lineup this weekend. I think he'll hopefully try and come out of this disastrous slump that he's in. But look, you don't like to say it, but they are playing with house money. They're going into the best team in this bracket, in my opinion, and they have 0 to lose. So I hope they just keep continuing to do what they're doing, stick together, take a little bit relief off that bullpen. But Diaz pitched. That was some important innings last night that he pitched. So you knock him for the game on Monday when he gave up the couple runs to the Braves there, but he came back out in that ninth and shut them down. So I think Murphy said it in the press conference. The Mets are a good team. They got 3 All-Stars. When he mentioned Alonso, Lindor, and Nimmo, they're on long-term contracts, getting paid a lot of money. These guys got to step up now and earn their money and show, everybody that this isn't a fluke. This is why we're here. This is who we are, and put the Phillies to bed, and we can travel to San Diego.
Yeah, and for the record, I am not rooting for the Phillies. I'm just putting my head down and saying that this was always the Phillies' year, in my opinion. But I think that's a good thing. I think if they do win the World Series, I think you'll see an even better Mets team next year. Knowing that the Braves will be healthy and knowing that the Mets will have holes to fill. My friend joked with me that I joked all off season that I'm going to be an Orioles fan. I didn't love what the Mets did. They didn't really add anyone, but also no one in the NL added anyone. So I was joking that I'm an Orioles guy, blah 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 blah, and he busted my chops yesterday before the Met game, and he was like, Mets season lasted longer than the Orioles. And my reply was, yeah, but you'll have 1,000 more holes to fill in November,
Right.
Which is true. You're going to lose 3 starters to free agency. Manaea is definitely going to opt out. He made a lot. Quintana made a ton of money last night. Manaea made a ton of money during the season. But that's a discussion for the offseason. Let's go Mets. We both predicting 5-game series. We just have opposite winners of the series. But like I said, if the Phillies win, it will suck. But I think that will open Cohen's eyes a little bit and be like, all right, game on. You won this time, but my pockets are deep and we have some reinforcements to sign. So this has been an emergency podcast to break down the Phillies and the Mets. Before we go, all right, let's just do for each team an X factor. I'll go first. For the Mets, I'm gonna say Nimmo. I like to see Nimmo get hot. I like to see Nimmo move Lindor around and be smart on the bases for Pete and for Alvarez. Hopefully Alvarez wakes up a little bit. And then for the Phillies, I mean, I could say Bryce, I could say their closer, I could say Nola. But I'm gonna go with Trey Turner. I think Trey Turner could be a game wrecker for them. Great athlete, solid player. So I'll go Nimmo and Trey Turner. I think their teams might go as they go in this series. Do you have a different X factor for either team?
I think Francisco Alvarez really needs to step up at the plate. I think when he goes, they kind of all really get going. And there's times he looks really tired, and then there's times where he looks okay, and then he looks tired again. And he has a lot on his plate, obviously, having to manage the whole staff and, produce the numbers that he does. But we need that energy that he brings when he's hot at the plate, because the whole dynamic changes. The ballpark is on fire. He brings so much to the table, and it's guys like that have such high energy that's what they need now going forward, because it's a grind, and this is where it counts the most, and they need that Francisco energy. And the X factor for the Phillies is going to be keeping Schwarber in the ballpark, because if he gets going, the Trey Turners of the world will get going. Harper's on base almost at a 375, 380 clip against the Mets, so he's always on against them. Yeah. Only Harvey can strike him out.
It's true.
Harvey was at Northwell Hospital the other day, by the way, giving out something. And
Nosebleeds?
And maybe. But that's the staff has to keep him in the ballpark, and if you can keep him in the ballpark, aside from Turner, Harper, and Schwarber, can you name other guys on that team?
Yeah, Castellanos, JT Realmuto. They have the fast outfielder. Alec Boehm.
Stott.
Right? Bryson Stott, who looks like Dak Shepard.
No, he does.
Sosa.
Yeah.
They have Sosa.
Armando Sosa.
They have Sosa, and they have the really fast outfielder. His name escapes me. Yeah, they're loaded, man. They're loaded.
They're loaded. I bet you there's a lot of people who don't know who Iglesias is, and Vientos and so on. Obviously, the guys in the NLDS do.
I agree with that.
A lot of household names for the Phillies. A lot of high expectations for them, and we'll see what happens. Starting tomorrow.
And they have that little rat, the new Victorino. I forgot his name. I think he came up for the last series against the Mets. The little rat center fielder who robbed someone of a home run.
Yeah, I saw that. I don't know who he is. He's a
rat. He's the new Victorino.
Victorino's pretty good.
Fuck the Phillies.
That's why you should take the Mets in this series, my friend.
It's funny because it's F the Phillies, but if it's not Ohtani, against them, then I won't root for the Phillies. I'd probably switch my allegiance to the Guardians or Padres. But I'm a different type of fan. I don't see the big deal if the Braves, the Phillies, the Nationals, the Marlins get a ring. To me, that's do more, do something, be better, and that's why I have such disdain for Woody Johnson, because he just let the Patriots bend him over for 20 years. All right, that's it. That's our emergency podcast. And we'll leave you with this banger from 1986. Come back Tuesday. We'll react to the weekend that was in sports. We'll do a quick NHL preview on Tuesday. So as always, let's go Mets. Like, subscribe, comment, share, do whatever you gotta do. Help PMP.
Thank you very much. Let's go Mets.
We're gonna make it this time.